Let's go to the Balkans. Let's go across the narrow stretch of sea from the boot of Italy, where sits the Albanian island of Sazan, once a closed communist military-era base, now where visitors and tourists are drawn to its beauty. Look up Sazan on Instagram, and this is the sort of thing you find. Sazan is state and its protected marine park is a dreamy place. This is President Trump's daughter talking about on a podcast on Sunday. Ivanka Trump was talking about, quote, building an authentic life.
An unbelievable, beautiful 1,400-hectare private island in the middle of the Mediterranean. We were on a friend's boat and we stopped for a swim. Effectively, that's how we found it. We swam to the islands. We went on a hike, barefoot all the way up to the top, and we were just captivated. And it stayed with us ever since. And over the course of many years, we developed the opportunity to help realize its potential and transform it.
That was 5 days ago that she spoke to the Founders podcast. For the past 4 days, thousands of Albanians have taken to the streets to protest against the plans by the Kushner Trumps to develop the islands, to turn it into a luxury hotel resort, as well as a longer protected area of Albania's southern coast of Vjosa Nata. The plans were first publicly set out by Ivanka's husband, Jared Kushner, 2 years ago. But these comments appear to have accelerated the anger and demands for transparency from the government of the Prime Minister, Edi Rama. And this is what he said about it today at a meeting of European leaders in Montevideo.
There are no demands to be discussed because there is no yet project approved, right? So first we need to have the project, then to see the project, then to discuss the project.
Edi Rama speaking in Montenegro. Let's bring in Erisa Kryeziu, an Albanian journalist for the independent media outlet Citizens.al, based in Albania. Erisa's reported on the ground on the protests against the construction activity. Welcome to France 24, Erisa. Great to have you on the programme with us. Can you set out for us what you've seen this week in the protests, who's been clashing with who, and what's at the heart of this anger?
Thank you for having me. As you said before, thousands of citizens recently have filled the street and the square of Tirana to protest the tourism development project, let's say, planned for the protected Vjosa Nata area, which is stretching from Zvernec to Pišporo in the city of Vlora in the southern of Albania. The protest, in fact, if we go back, how did it start? Began in Zvernec in the southern of Albania and escalated on the May 30 because there were excavators arriving and preparation for construction began. By that time, the area has been already surrounded by bulldozers and barbed wire fencing, and which, let's say, was completely removed following the protests on June 4th. The private security company contracted to guard the site reacted aggressively and dragging a protester across the ground. The incident, in fact, was occurred in front of the state police officer, which in fact did not intervene. And videos, a lot of videos of this confrontation quickly spread across the social media, triggering widespread public outrage. And many citizens said that they really felt unprotected by the state police in the face of action taken by the private security personnel. Now the protest is shifted to the Prime Minister office in Tirana, and today is the 6th day that they are protesting. This kind of wave, let's say, of demonstration has become known as the Flamingo Revolution, because it's kind of a reference to the flamingos that symbolize the area's rich biodiversity, and to the opposition against intervention that environmental activists said that could permanently transform one of the Albanians' most important ecosystem. But why is the area such important? Because Pishporo Narta, near the Zvernets in the Vlora city in the south of Albania, is part of one of the most Albanian significant coastal ecosystem. The area, in fact, includes, let's say, wetlands, lagoons, pine forest, habitats for migratory birds, and the broader Vios Narta landscape. In fact, the ecosystem is home to more than 200 bird species, and many of them are protected and threatened, such as flamingos and, of course, the Dalmatian pelican. Also, its importance, its extent beyond Albania, because the area is part of the Emerald Network, recognized internationally for its biodiversity value, and is considered a key site for protected species. What the protesters for 6 days now are demanding are very clear demands, let's say, and directed to the government. First of all, they are demanding for cancellation of the project and the review of all permits and legal changes that made it, let's say, possible. The second, they are demanding the resignation of the government, the whole government, not only the Prime Minister Edi Rama. Third, they are demanding the repeal of the amendments to the protected area laws. Here in 2024, there were some changes to this law of
let's get to that. Let's get to that, Erisa.
This protection.
Let's just go step by step here, because you explained that very well. So here we are at the moment. So this was there's two different areas talking about. Talk about the island, and then you have the beautiful coastline, as you said, with the flamingos. And these are areas that both are under plans. Edi Rama says not proposals. He says plans by the Kushner. This is a consortium with the Kushner Trumps within it. And you've basically, this is called Affinity Global. It's a consortium which is largely funded by the Saudi government. Now, 2024, the Albanian government declassified the island, I believe, as from military use. December 24, the government granted preliminary approval for this venture by Affinity Global. So this has been known. I think Jared Kushner first started talking about this back in 2024, as I mentioned. Now, this weekend, there are two things happened. So one, the construction works started. That was the 30th. That's Saturday. You said you've seen some of that going on. Two, we had this podcast where people will have seen it was went viral. It hit the algorithm of what Ivanka Trump had to say. This transformation she wanted to see with care. She said she'd ordered the best architects to look at this as well. And on the other side of that, the Prime Minister, Edi Rama, says there is no reason to worry about this report. He said today, there's no project approved, but however, he said, quote, the top world experts were involved in the plan. They're going to make, quote, something unique. What do you make of that? Mm-hmm.
Just to make it a little bit clear, there are two different areas. We're talking about the Pishporo Narta near the Zvernets, which is a protected area. And on the other time, it is the island of Sazan, which is the biggest island in Albania and has been before, in the communism time, a military area. When we were getting in touch what is happening before. It was in 2024 by the photos that were shared to Instagram by Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, were also before 1 year here in this coastline, and they met a lot of architects and even the Prime Minister Edi Rama. But as they are referring that behind this is Kushner and Trump. But what we know on paper is that let's say, publicly promoted the project, but so far we do not have any public document that show either he or Ivanka Trump are legally behind this kind of project. What we know about the project is that it's called Zvernets Peninsula, and I'm not talking about the Sazan Island. I'm talking about the protected area that are making the protest, and it's expecting to be built approximately 437 hectares, including construction on villas, hotels, apartments, etc. And currently, the company that is working there is Renaissance Adriatic Development, and it's also the project environmental impact assessments identify, on the other hand, the project stakeholders through Assets Group, and it's owned by one of the billionaire's brothers, Al Kayat brother from the Power Holding. And Prime Minister Edi Rama said that we do not have any project yet because they have been discussing on the first project. They do not make let's say they were not okay with the first project, and now they are discussing for the other project, but it's not approved, let's say, any of them.
Yes. So we're talking about this. Is this
he approved that.
Erisa, we're talking about this is the lands around the Nata Lagoon. This is around on the Albanian coastline. Is that right?
Yeah.
And to make a distinction, we talked about Sazan before. This is state-owned. This is what Ivanka Trump was talking about seeing for the first time, and the plans that she has to transform it. The Nata Lagoon, this is another beautiful area. We talked about the wildlife. You talked about the incredible kind of migrations from Africa that go on, the flamingos there as well. This is private, and it's subject to many legal court cases right now over property rights that are already incredibly complicated. Is that right?
Yes, but they are together in front of, let's say, Sazan Island is in front of the lagunas. So, but what we have here in Albania is that we, from the year 2015, we have a new law, which is the law for the strategic investment, and it's given, let's say, with the state aim of attracting the major investment and promoting the economic development. And what we know so far is that from 2025, from January, Jared Kushner has this status of the strategic investing. So from that year and now, he's being discussion with the Albanian government regarding the plans to develop a luxury tourism project in the Sazan Island, and which is located opposite the Zvernets area. That's what we know from till now, let's say,
yes.
Because there is nothing approved or any project later approved. But what Prime Minister Rama said that we aim to make the tourism in Albania elitary. Right now, we are not going anymore to say no to this kind of big project. So he has seen this contradictory, let's say, this opposition from the citizens as a way to stop the building or to contribute to the Albanian economy, because he sees this kind of Albanian elite tourism to the Albania as a way to contribute to the Albanian economy.
And if we look
what I've seen to the field.
Yes, if we look, Erisa, of what Edi Rama had to say, I think he's famously quoted, isn't he, as saying that Albania needs tourism like a desert needs water. Now, if you look at, you talk about some of the concerns, transparency being key here, people wanting to know, okay, if there are no proposals, but there are plans, what does that mean? Set out for us in writing what is going on. And there's another part of the region I touched upon, which is about the lagoon area with all of these animals that we saw before. Some of this area, am I right to say, that after the Second World War, the communist government took the private land off people around there. They made it state-owned. And then in 1991, democracy, the government gave the land to the villagers to share. So if you had land that was 100 hectares and you had 100 villagers, they'd have a hectare each, rather than give it back to the previous landowners. So this is adding to those ongoing protests and ongoing issues, having these billionaire investors here.
Mm-hmm. It has been a private one, but then they have a lot of problems with lands there, because there are people living there, the locals one, and also there are the foreign, like say, interest to develop the country. But as has happened, I mean, in the years after the communism fell in Albania, we have a big problem with the land properties, because they have falsified a lot of land properties, and so not everyone which has had the land now has the right to their own land. What we've seen to the lagoon is that it's a public land, a public property, but also a private one. So there is a kind of a discussion if should it be built there or not. But what we see recently is the lack of transparency by the government for every building, every construction, every project, big one, that are being built, or that do find their place to be built in this area.
Is there, I mean, is at the heart of these protests, how is it spreading? Does it have an organizer, or is this something via social media people are gathering, particularly this week?
In fact, what I've seen all these days, there are thousands of people without any leader, let's say, and there is no political affiliation. I have seen young men and women, young families with their children, and it's only, let's say, political affiliation is to protect the environment, is to protect the protected areas, and the need for transparency for every project that is developed in this country. The protest itself, let's say, reflect broader public concern about governance, about transparency, about environmental protection, and the management of the public resources. It's not. It seems like it's not. It started with the Narta and with Zvernets and with Sazan, which is going on, but it seems that it's not kind of isolated case of Narta. It had brought together people affected by similar issue from north to south of Albania, environmental activists, young people, and many, of course, ordinary people. What it's importantly to say is that it's a protest of supporter. It's a protest with no supporters from the two major political party. Even the messages that have spread through the megaphone and with the pancards and with a lot of memes around the social channels that they use, and they print it and reflect it on the march from the Skanderbeg Square to the office of the Prime Minister, where to transparency and to cancel all the project and the change that had made it possible, and to review all these kind of permits that
And that's part of the voices you're hearing. Is it
side with Sogland?
Yes, is that part of the protest that you're hearing? People they're calling, as you said before, not just about transparency, but for the removal of Edi Rama, and the accusation that and we've heard this before, that there is state capture in Albania. And it is worth saying the response from Edi Rama, who's in, as I mentioned, Montenegro today. There's a summit with EU leaders for the Balkan states. He said that he's denied there is a Trump family island connection. He's denied they'll be used to house Palestinians under a plan with Israel, which I think there had been some reports, or that he's giving the Kushners preferential treatment to curry favour with the White House. He's also said there is, quote, not a chance this investment would stop as long as I'm here. What are you making of that? And also these reports, how widespread is it when you speak to protesters that are suggesting that there's some plan with Israel tied to this?
I don't know what to say in this case, because he said that everything will be done, and until we have a project, we will discuss and then we will make it clear even to you. But what we've seen during these years, it was the lack of transparency, as we said. We know that Albania now is currently in the accession negotiation with the European Union, and we know also that the Chapter 27, it's the environmental and the climate one, is one of the most sensitive conditions in Albanian stock with the EU. And what we've been reporting recently is the idea that the European Commission by itself had stated that in fact the country must fully ally with the EU legislation, including the bird directive, including the habitats directive, and also they have repealed provisions that are incompatible with the law of protected areas. So EU has said that if you cannot change, you have to change the law that you changed before in 2024 about the protected area. And even the environmental activist has argued that the government, in fact, is rushing this kind of tourism projects so that by the time that is required to appeal the provision of the protected areas law in line with the EU demands, the investment then will be, let's say,
Yes.
fait accompli. So.
Erisa, we will come back to you. We will follow this as these protests continue. Good to talk to you for now. Thank you, Erisa. Erisa Kryeziu from Citizens.al.